Great Britain is an island. This simple fact shaped its destiny. Its story began long ago. People crossed the land bridge from Europe. They hunted and gathered. Later they farmed the fertile lands. These early settlers left their mark. We see it in stone circles and ancient burial mounds. They were the first Britons. Their lives were hard. Yet they laid the very first foundations for what was to come. This island nation, often misty and green, would one day reach across the entire globe, its influence profound and far-reaching in ways these early inhabitants could never have conceived. The Romans arrived in 43 AD. They called the island Britannia. They built roads and towns. They brought laws in Latin. For nearly 400 years, Britain was part of the Roman Empire. This period brought significant changes. Sophisticated villas were constructed. Trade flourished, connecting Britain to the wider Roman world. The Romans also brought Christianity, a faith that would endure. But Roman rule did not last forever. As the empire weakened, the legions departed, leaving the Britons to fend for themselves against new arrivals from across the North Sea, heralding another era of transformation. After the Romans left, new peoples came. Angles, Saxons and Jutes sailed from Germany and Denmark. They were fierce warriors. They pushed the native Britons west into Wales and Cornwall. These newcomers formed small kingdoms. England began to take shape from these disparate territories. They spoke their own languages, which slowly melded into Old English. They worshipped their own gods, though Christianity gradually returned and spread. This era, often called the Dark Ages, was a time of conflict but also of creation, as a new cultural identity started to emerge from the fusion of peoples. The idea of Britain was still distant. The island was a patchwork of rival kingdoms. Vikings from Scandinavia raided and then settled. They brought their own customs and language. King Alfred the Great of Wessex famously fought them. He helped to create a sense of English identity in the face of this external threat. Slowly, these various groups began to see themselves as sharing a common land, if not always a common purpose. The journey towards a unified Great Britain was long and often bloody, a testament to the island's turbulent yet formative early history, setting the stage for future power. The Norman conquest in 1066 was a pivotal moment. William, Duke of Normandy, defeated King Harold at the Battle of Hastings. This event changed England forever. Norman French became the language of the rulers. Castles were built across the land, symbols of new authority. The Normans brought a strong centralized government. They conducted a great survey, the Domesday Book, to record the wealth of the kingdom. This administrative efficiency was a new kind of power. England's connection to continental Europe deepened, not always peacefully, but always significantly, altering its political and social fabric for centuries. Over time, English kings sought to extend their power. They fought wars in Wales, Scotland and Ireland. These struggles were long and brutal. Edward I, known as the Hammer of the Scots, built mighty castles in Wales. He sought to impose English rule. The relationship between England and its neighbours was complex. Sometimes there was union, sometimes bitter conflict. These efforts at expansion were crucial steps in forging a larger British state. The desire to control the entire archipelago became a recurring theme in the ambitions of English monarchs, shaping the political map we know today. A key development was the Magna Carta in 1215. King John was forced by his barons to sign this charter. It limited the king's power. It stated that no one was above the law, not even the monarch. This was a radical idea for its time. The Magna Carta became a symbol of liberty and justice. It laid the groundwork for parliamentary democracy. Though its immediate effects were contested, its long-term significance cannot be overstated. It established principles that would echo through British history and influence constitutional development around the world, a cornerstone of individual rights against arbitrary rule. The growth of Parliament was another crucial step. Originally, it advised the king. Over centuries, it gained more power. It began to make laws and control taxes. The idea of representation started to take root, however imperfectly at first. This slow evolution of political institutions was vital. It provided a framework for stability and for managing change. The English and later British system of governance was not designed overnight. It was built piece by piece, often through struggle and compromise, creating a unique political landscape that would prove remarkably resilient and adaptable through many future crises. The Tudor period, beginning with Henry VII in 1485, marked a new era of confidence. Henry VIII famously broke with the Roman Catholic Church. This had huge religious and political consequences. It created the Church of England. It also allowed the crown to seize monastic lands, increasing its wealth and power. His daughter Elizabeth I ruled during a golden age. England's culture flourished. Playwrights like William Shakespeare created timeless works. This was a time of growing national pride and burgeoning ambition on the world stage, a definitive shift towards an outward-looking posture. Under Elizabeth I, England began to look outwards. English sailors like Sir Francis Drake explored distant seas. They challenged the dominance of Spain, the great power of the age. The defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588 was a famous victory. It boosted English morale. It also showed the growing importance of naval power. England began to establish small colonies in North America and the Caribbean. These were tentative first steps towards a global empire. The sea, once a barrier, was becoming a highway for English ships and English ambitions for trade and territory. The Stuart kings who followed Elizabeth I, starting with James I of Scotland, who united the English and Scottish crowns, faced many challenges. There were religious conflicts between Protestants and Catholics. There were also power struggles between the king and Parliament. This led to the English Civil War in the mid-17th century. King Charles I was executed. For a short time, England became a republic under Oliver Cromwell. This period of upheaval was traumatic. Yet it ultimately strengthened Parliament's position and further defined the limits of monarchical power, albeit through bloodshed and division. The restoration of the monarchy with Charles II did not end the political